Gonna try this again. One more again. And see if it'll work. So my apologies about the technical difficulties tonight, but I'm hoping this time it'll actually work. As you can see, there's been quite a few of attempts of getting this thing live. I'm in the mood to stream, but it just seems like everything wants to hold me back. Let's see something. Everyone's doing well, saying that we still got a good connection, so I hope that is the case. I think we are good. I just want to make sure because this thing has been a little temperamental on me today. Just want to make sure we got a volume check. Everything is good, and then we will kick things off. So basically what I'm looking to do today is set up a project, but initially, instead of building out the CRUD features and the database and all that good stuff, I'm going to go through an actual process of creating a repository, connecting it with Gitpod. I'm not able to use Docker Desktop on this machine, so I'm doing a little research. I'm going to do Gitpod and using Vercel to get the project on the internet first, make commits, stage it, all of that good stuff. And then I may connect Cloudflare and go ahead and do a custom domain. But ultimately, what we're going to do is build a portfolio website so that we'll have something on the web to kind of showcase our work, talk a little bit about ourselves, showcase our work. And then from there, I may build additional projects. I think the first thing I want to do is outside of the portfolio is some algorithm finders. Had some fun with using those. So I may do some algorithm displays, binary search and linear search and a few of the others. So, but we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, I'm going to start streaming my coding process. And depending upon feedback, I may convert some of those into videos or some of the more meaningful parts for those that are interested in following along and actually using this to kickstart something for yourself. So hope you find some value in it. If you have questions, ask away. I am happy to do the best I can to answer, and if I don't have those answers, I'll be certain to chase it down for you or to help point you in the right direction, if nothing else. So all right, so first thing I want to do in the video, what we'll do today is we're going to set up a GitHub repo. We'll initialize a Next.js project, and I think we'll use Tailwind for styling. We'll push it to GitHub using SSH, deploy to Vercel. We'll probably use Gitpod as well in this as well too. I'm thinking it's not necessarily mandatory, but I just like to, when I deploy something, have it in a container so I don't have to deal with these versions that change throughout the process. It just makes managing it a lot easier. And I have that for a couple other freelance jobs that I've done, but I've never gone through the entire process on my channel. So I just thought it'd be pretty cool to do that today, to do something a little different than the traditional CRUD project. And ultimately, this will be a CRUD project. We'll set up a portfolio dashboard. I'll probably get out on the web and see if I can find a good template to emulate. I don't really like a whole lot of Flash as it relates to my projects. I like to keep things simple, primarily because not everyone, it doesn't show up the same way on all devices or phones or websites. So it makes it kind of tough to want to do a whole bunch of animations and a whole bunch of design, because it may work perfectly in my browser, but in a different browser, it may not work as well. So maybe I'll keep it simple, and then as I can make sure it is compatible with multiple websites and multiple devices, depending upon how my audience is going to be viewing the website, then we'll add a bunch of different features. But for right now, we'll just keep it very, very simple. Establish this GitHub repository, set up a Next.js project, make sure Tailwind's working, get a good hello world going. We'll do Gitpod, and may do a little bit of styling with the project, just as a layout, set up a nav bar, a header, and all that good stuff. We'll just see how the night goes. But the main thing today is just getting something quickly on the web with the technologies that I spoke about, and then just kind of going from there with what else we want to do this evening. So first things first, if you don't already have GitHub, I'm on the GitHub website. I'm already logged in. Going to /new to create a new repository. And then here we have the ability to name it. And I think I'll just name this portfolio sites. It's available. I think I will keep this public for now. I'm not going to add a README. I think we can keep it public. Should I keep this public? I'll make it private. On the safe side. I know some of you might get a little creative with this. And I don't want my stuff hacked or anything. But so we set up this project, and this is basically the link to it, and this is the process to perform the Git actions to publish things on GitHub as need be. So since we're good here, next thing we want to do is access Gitpod. So I think with Gitpod, it is Gitpod. Gitpod.io, and next it will be /https. Yep, already got it there. And then let's just go to here. And we'll go to continue with GitHub, and we'll need to log in. And if you don't know what Gitpod is, it's basically a way for us to containerize our application. I don't want this one. Let's go to Gitpod. Gitpod.io, https:// sorry, I'm just going to manually type it in. GitHub.com/the add / let's just go there. That should be good enough. There we go. We'll connect this. We're going to use, I should have kept it public because now it's going to be looking for this site, and I have it private. So let's do this. I think what I do is ports. enter. Give it a minute. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? All right, so this is going to take me to a internet interface of VS Code, and you actually can, if I recall, I want to say there's a way that we can use our own VS Code versus the VS Code that is interfaced with the site. But nevertheless, we'll just do this. Let's go ahead and use this to create the Next.js project. So it'll be npx create next app at latest space and dot. Let me just make sure nothing has changed with that. Next.js. It's been a while since I've used Next, and I thought about using Flask, but the only reason I didn't use Flask, and I may migrate to it later, but the reason I didn't is I've been having some issues getting Python and all the packages installed on this machine. Yeah, that is the site. So space latest, and it'll be in this directory. Yep. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Hit OK to proceed. And we'll say yes to TypeScript, no to ESLint, yes to Tailwind, no to the SRC, yes to the app router, yes to the turbo pack, no to the import alias, and just give it a few minutes to finish installing. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Mr. Johnson? Appreciate the support, sir. If I appreciate everyone that is tuned in. A new major version of NPM is available. Okay, so that upgraded NPM change log. Okay, so no big deal there. All right. So I think what I'll do now is let's just get this. We'll do a little bit of cleanup initially. Remove this domain, home page, remove this. Global CSS. We can remove the background color too. Might not be a bad idea to keep this. At some point, we'll come back and really upgrade the styling of this thing. But for right now, again, just want to get something up on the web. And I think we'll go app, body. Think about this for a second. 1 second. HTML, body, roots, app. We'll go at apply, text small. Set the height to 100%, width to 100%. Okay, that'll take care of that. And then next, I think what I want to do is go ahead and commit this to Git. So we'll say Git remote add origin or git at, no, it is git, yeah, git at github dad slash, and this is ports portfolio OSITE portfolio SC. Okay, perfect. All right, is this, so now we'll do a git add. Then we can go git commit. Initial setup. INITIL. Okay, I got everything, and then the last would be a git push. View origin. Press enter. Commit branch. Everything's done. All of that looks good. So now we can just go ahead and deploy to Vercel. So we'll go to Google, Vercel, log in. I think this is it. I'm probably already logged in. Yep. Then yep, I intend to deploy as well. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to do that now. So we'll go to deployments. That's what I already have live. These are some older projects that I did. We'll go add a project, and then we're going to import this one. Yep. If I had any, well, when I add environment variables, I'm going to add them here. But for right now, we're just going to deploy. And we'll go through the process of actually making commits after each update, so you can get in the habit of seeing how frequently you want to do it, name it, and if we need to roll anything back or go back and make any changes, we'll be able to do that fairly easy as well too. So we'll work on that, and it is deploying now, so we'll give it a few minutes. I appreciate all the support so far. Look, if you have any questions, yes, I'm deploying to Mr. Johnson. If you have any questions, look, feel free to ask away. I'll be happy to answer anything that that you may have. And as you can see, it reads homepage there. And if we continue to the dashboard, and we'll add a domain later. And I was also thinking it might be pretty cool to integrate Cloudflare into this as well. I know that's a little overkill, but I like their security features and I already use it. So that's really personal preference. It may be a little overkill because Vercel does a good job with security and kind of managing the logs and CLI process for you, or give you an interface to manage it. So, but we'll see. Have a little bit of fun with it. But this is the domain portfolio site --blush--mdu.vercel app. I'll eventually change this and add an actual domain. But as you can see, this is the website that we just set up in our Gitpod, which is a lightweight virtual container that uses, it uses Docker. It containerizes everything so that we can, it doesn't use Docker, but it containerizes everything similar so that once I do migrate over to Docker, I'll be able to easily do it. But in the meantime, we're just We're going to make all of our updates within the Gitpod VS Code, and we'll push them to Git, and then we'll just watch them live as they update them. And we can also run this in a development environment as well too, in the event we don't want to deploy this to the web just yet, or we don't want to deploy what we've created to the web. We can run it in a local environment before we actually push it to Git. So that's going to be the pretty cool thing about this. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Looking forward to doing a little bit more with it, but that's basically all it is to it. We have a portfolio or a Next.js application that is using Gitpod versus traditional VS Code. I do have it, but I'm not using it. All of this is coming from Gitpod, and we've just deployed it to Vercel on a portfolio site. Hope I spelt that correctly, but if not, it's all good. And right here, you see the homepage text that we have on screen. Right here. And if I wanted to make any changes, I would just commit those changes and be able to update it from there. So pretty cool. So look, if you have any questions, look, feel free to ask away. Yep. Right. So I think, yeah, if we want, what we could do is create a little simple CRUD app for right now. I don't want to do too much this evening, but if there are any questions or any suggestions, I'm absolutely open to doing anything that'll be beneficial to anyone out there. But this is pretty much it. We are up and going. So let's do this. Let's see. I do intend to connect this to an actual database, but I haven't decided. I'm thinking I'm just going to go with MongoDB or either a probably MongoDB and use Prisma as the ORM. I think MongoDB will give enough versatility, and the free tier is pretty generous. So as I'm storing things on this portfolio site, I have a pretty good amount of storage that I should be able to use without costing me a fortune, because I know some of this stuff is going to cost. And if you're like me, you're on a budget and you want to try to minimize as much of your expenses as possible. So, but some things you do have to pay for, and this is an investment in ourselves. So I'll be prepared to make a payment for some of this stuff as need be. But I think what we'll do is just create a local database and store all of our information in it. And then from there, migrate over to maybe MongoDB or Postgres, or maybe even thought about doing Convex as well too, to give some real-time interaction. But I think it might be pretty cool to integrate a real-time database in addition to a traditional MongoDB database, just depending upon what we want to do. If you think that would be pretty cool, just let me know. I'll be happy to show you how to integrate that. But we'll figure it out along the way. All right, so I think next what I'll do is we'll create a little server action to, yeah, I think we will. Give me a second. Yep. I do. We'll go, let's do this. I think what I'll do is go ahead and just create a little server action project while I'm at it. So what I'll do, we'll create that now. Level 1, 2 hacking with cheap canned chemicals. Man, don't hack me, man. It's like that. Hey, man, I'm just trying to help. Let's go ahead and just create a little local database. So I'll create a directory named lib, and inside of lib, we'll add a file name server. We'll call it local database. Local database.ts. So in this local database file, I'm just going to store two things. Well, I'm going to have two things inside of it. Number one, we're going to export an empty array that's going to serve as the database to kind of hold all of the items. And then we'll also add a TypeScript type, which will serve as a model for the data so that we have some form of structure. And then once we get ready to convert it over, we'll already have everything that we need. All we'll need to do is make a few changes within the action directory and also a few changes to this local database file. So first, we'll need to define the type, and we'll use the keyword type. And I'm going to call what we store in the database. We'll start with, it's going to be a portfolio site, so there's going to be some static data that we'll be able to manage in the dashboard and update. But I think for right now, just to give a little visual of what we have, I'm going to create the type of a post. And then inside of it, it'll have a ID, which will be a number. And that should be lowercase. It'll have a title, which will be a string. And we'll just have content, which will be a string as well. And like I said, this kind of is like the model, if you will, to the actual post that we're going to be storing in the database. Then we'll need to store them in something, and that will be a export const. It will be post, and we'll name it post. Set it equal to an empty array. All right. So this basically serves as, getting yelled at by TypeScript. Sorry, forgot that. This is serving as the database for our project, the local database, until we migrate it over to MongoDB. We basically just have a type of a post, which is serving kind of like a model. And then this is the actual storage itself. We're just going to store it in an empty array. And we're exporting a const named post that's going to allow us to use this throughout the project. We'll need to store, today we'll just do a create and a get, so that as we create a simple post, we can see it and we'll be able to confirm that we actually do have the project connected. Uh-oh. Yes. There we go. Sorry about that. I hope the audio wasn't too bad. I just realized that my audio wasn't working. All right, so with that, back inside of the lib directory. Next, we'll want to begin to create the actions. So I'll store this in a directory named post, so that we have all of our posts within this directory, because we'll add more things. I'm thinking in the portfolio, and we'll work on the design of it so we kind of have a better vision of what it is that we're going to build. But I think in the portfolio, I'm going to go with some form of an introduction that'll just have my name that I can manage on the back end. Have maybe an about me section, maybe a work history section, and then after a work history, education section, and then maybe a project section that links out to my GitHub, that shows my Git commits maybe, and also a few projects that aren't customer live projects. I don't I know they don't necessarily want me to do that, but I don't think that that's probably the right thing to do. If an employer, if I were to really give this to an employer and they wanted more information, I'll be happy to give it to them. But I'm not just going to put it on a portfolio site. I don't think my loved ones that trusted me with building this site would appreciate that. That might be a little too much for them. So let's do this. First thing I want to do is have the ability to write or add a note and also or post and also get. So in this, we'll just create a file named actions.ts. This will be ran on the server, so we'll say use server, and we're going to import promises. That's fs. This is going to come from fs. Promises. Yep. We'll also need to bring in path. It's going to come from path. We'll be using server actions in this initially, and try to keep everything ran on the server for right now, but that will eventually change. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in, we'll keep this organized. I think it is revalidate path and also redirect. And redirect is going to come from next navigation, and revalidate path is coming from next cache. And if you weren't aware, the reason we're doing revalidate path is because we want to automatically validate the data immediately that we're getting from the server. It gives a much faster end user experience, and it doesn't utilize the client-side JavaScript, which is going to be clutch in the event someone wants to view our website that doesn't have JavaScript ran on the client side. So that's the reason that I kind of like to be cautious about how much styling and JavaScript and things like that that you add, because as you get content or websites on the web, you're going to notice that not all browsers have the same capability, and that goes the same for devices, and you just never know how your client may access your website. It could either be through the web, or it could be through web. It'll always be through the web. It could be through a CPU, or it could be through a smartphone or a phone device. So now that we have the imports brought in, next I'm going to define the type that we'll be using. So we'll say export type. export type. This is going to be a post. We'll define the ID as a number, the title as a string. I think I did content. Make sure. Okay. And because we're writing this to a local file, I'm going to create a const name file underscore path, and we'll set it equal to path.join process.cwd, and we're going to be passing in data and also host.json. This should be in quotes. There we go. Save this. Next up, we'll go ahead and create the ability to write a note. Yeah, we'll do write notes. So we'll say write notes to local. This is going to be a async function. Write notes. Write post, excuse me. Let's just be consistent. Oh. Post. Set equal to post. Inside of this, we'll go await fs.write file. We'll pass in the file path. We'll say JSON.stringify post no to. And because we're passing this over the headers, we'll need to include the UTF-8. Okay. Yep. Okay. And then now let's do the ability to add a post, and this is what we'll be using, kind of like an API. This initial write post is kind of like defining how we'll store it and write it to the local file or the local database. And then now what we want to do is have the ability to send this data from the front end to the back end, and also include the ability to write the post to the local file. And the file that we're writing it to is the post file. So next we'll do, yep, I appreciate it. We'll do read post. Read post. And I want to add notes so it is easier to read. Even though this isn't very complicated, it's still good. It's a good practice to have notes as you write out your content or your code. So we'll say async function read post. Let's say promise post. Post, yep. That promise is referring to that. And in this, we'll have a try catch. Const data is equal to await fs dot read file. Go file path, and that second argument, let me add parentheses. That second argument needs to be ut. Oh, my insert is off. That's why I was doing that. UTF-8. That's gonna drive me crazy. Where is this key at? I'll come back to it. It's gonna drive me crazy. And then what we want to return is JSON.parse. And what we want to pass in or parse is the data. In the catch, we'll just return a empty array which will represent the actual database itself. So then add host via front end. So we'll go export async function, add post. In this, we know we'll need to pass in some information. So I'm going to pass in. There it is. I think it is. Yes. There we go. All right. We'll pass in the form data. We'll go form data. Promise. See. Oh, wait. I think this is still the syntax from next. Yep. Server components. No, I'm looking for mutations. Data fetching. I think it is updated data. Yep. Form data. Okay. And this is just writing it directly in, update, and then revalidate the cache. Okay. So yeah, we're doing it right, or the most modern way to do it, if you will. So we'll go const title. It's going to be equal to form data.get. I'm going to get the title. This will be as string. I think the other thing is content. Const content is equal to form data.get content as string. Then we'll go const post is equal to await read post. This is establishing the connection, kind of like if we had a Prisma function in order to run and get our, or to establish that connection. That's what this is basically doing, read post. I probably should explain this a little better, but that's basically what that's doing, is grabbing the data or establishing that connection so that we can update that file or get the data or do whatever it is we want to do. Then we'll go const new post is equal to, actually this should be the syntax, post. We'll pass in the ID. For now, we'll just use the date.now. That's coming from, that's just some simple JavaScript syntax. So great question, man. It really, the more you practice and the more you read and the more you're exposed to it, the more simpler it becomes. I would just suggest to try to consume as much coding as you can, man. And then that way you'll be exposed to it more, and the more you're exposed to it, the easier it'll come. That's the best way to go about it, man. But we all kind of start somewhere, so I don't want you to get too bogged down with the terms that I'm using, and I can always change it if need be, man. That's good feedback. But just try to expose yourself to it more and read your documentation, and it'll become second nature. And you want to get good with those terms, because as you're speaking to someone else that's either experienced or not experienced, if you're not using the right terms, you can throw them off or confuse them, or kind of set them back on that learning journey. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's the reason I really want to try to be mindful of what terms I use and not be too lax with that. But good call out. Very good call out. So the ID, instead of, we know eventually it'll be automatically generated or randomly generated from the actual database. But for right now, we use the date.now, and that's going to be random date. It's going to grab the exact date and time at the moment and convert it for us. So this will be a suffice way for right now. And then we'll also pass in the title and content. And then once we have that, we'll go await. And this is going to write the post to the post array. And then inside of the parentheses, we'll pass in two brackets, D brackets. We'll go new post. And then we'll destructure the data from our post, this post that we're grabbing, to make sure that we're adding this post, we're adding those posts into the array. And then after that, we'll go revalidate the path. And I think for right now, we'll just redirect back to the home page. But I think eventually I may have it redirect to some form of a dashboard once I add authentication to it. That way, we'll be able to see all of the posts or all of the content that we create. And then from there, we'll have a different URL for the actual user that is, or a public facing URL that we'll give to anyone that wants to view our portfolio. So then the other function I want to create today is to get all posts. And this will be just to make sure that it's working. So we'll go export async function, get post. And we'll go promise, pass in the post with an empty array. Close it up. Oh, that's like that. Yeah. And then we'll return await read post. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. And then now we're ready to add something to the front end to test this out. And we could go ahead and commit right now, but I think I'll wait. We'll just set up a simple front end just to make sure that it works, and then we'll commit that versus making so many commits and pushes to the website. But here is the live website on Vercel that we just set up. And as we make some changes to this, we'll be able to push those so that you can see it real time. All right. Hey, what's going on? I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that's checking me out right now. Appreciate the love and support. Look, feel free to drop where you're from. I'd love to connect and get to know where you're from as well. But we're just building a simple portfolio website. We've already accomplished what we wanted to get done for today, which was setting up a pod on Gitpod, establishing the repo, and then deploying the project to Vercel. So we've already done that. So we just want to just make sure that this is working properly. So on the root layout, main page.tsx, I'm going to have all of the notes or the posts displayed from this view. So I'll go ahead and import the functions that we just created. I think the first one is add post, and that's going to come from the lib directory, and the other one is going to be get. I'll style it later. I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. Maybe I'll come back later on this evening if time permits, and we'll do some styling then. Then the next thing I want to do is make sure that this is a asynchronous function, because this is going to be ran on the server. So we'll go ahead and go export default async, and that's the function. We can call or go ahead and get access to the post now, and we'll conditionally render something on screen to make sure that we have a connection established. But for right now, we'll go ahead and go const post is equal to await get post, and we'll go ahead and call that. And put this in a div. No, we'll put it in a section. Add post section. And then in a separate section, SECTL. This will be where we will fetch and display all of our posts. So we'll go post.length. A little bit of JavaScript. If it is equal to 0, what we want to do is display a message, and this is just so that we can make sure that it is working. All right, that div, this div, and we'll say p tag no post created above. Save. And I think just for right now, I'll just display the title. We'll say div. No, that's not what we need to do. For this one, I'm tripping. We gotta go post.map. And for each post, we're gonna name it post. We don't need that div. It needs to be post.map. Post. There we go. Sorry, I had a div where it didn't need to be. Go key post.id. And then just for right now, to get something on screen, we'll go post.title. Yep. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. So let's go ahead and, oh no, it doesn't. I didn't realize I have a syntax error here. This and this. Oh, this one. I don't think I need this. No, it didn't delete with the other one. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead so I don't have to make too many commits. We'll go ahead and add in the ability to add a post from this section. So we'll go form. And it needs an action. We'll be passing in add post. Have a input with a placeholder for title. The name of this will be title. And that should be suffice right now. The next one will be a text area. We'll go placeholder of content and a name of content. We'll need a button. We'll go create. Okay. So then this will serve as the way to add a post. So now let's update this to confirm that these changes did take place, and we can see it on the screen. Remember, this is a live website, so I didn't run this locally, doing it a little backwards, but I wanted to show those that didn't know how to get a website up and going quickly. We'll go update with server. We'll go update with database, and database add and get posts. That should suffice. Okay, perfect. And then we'll go get push origin or IGIN main. Press enter. Okay, and there are no errors with that. So then now let's go to Git. logs. 39 seconds ago. There we go. So as you can see, this is what we just created or added to our VS Code, and now it is deployed out on the web. Yes, sir. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yep, I agree. Okay. So then now let's just confirm that it is working. So we see no post created, add a post above. So that is exactly what we have within the home function. So let's just test this out to see if it works. Test title, test content, create. Service execution has occurred. You know what? I think it has to be. Let me see something. Let me see something. Post. You know what? I'm willing to bet. Uh, Post.json. Let's try this again. Oh, you know what? It didn't take. Get correct. Push that. All right. Let's see when we get back. No errors. Probably should have done something else to make sure that it did go through. Logs. That's good. That's good. That is good. Oh, you need to close that out. So, title, content, right post. See something here. Yeah, man. In the kitchen today, man. That was funny, Isaac. Oh man, that was funny. Let me see something here. Let me try this with a redirect versus a revalidate. That was too funny. Resume, store, redirect. And then yep, caught it, and then now I get origin push. I probably should add something to the website just to make sure that I see those changes. 28 seconds ago, current. I know this is pretty real time, but pre-render content static, yep. Before complete, yep. Okay. Try this out now. Oh man, just a so initially I wanted to just get a quick project online, getting GitHub Vercel and Gitpod. So we've done that. So now just testing out some of the functionality, but ultimately it's going to be a portfolio site, and I'm going to do it live versus doing it the traditional way. I'll make it into a video for those that might want to follow along with a cleaner version of this, but that's basically what I'm doing. Just establishing a quick connection to the web. Got something up quickly online, as you can see right here via Vercel. And all of this is coming from Gitpod. Nothing ran on my local machine. All of it is in a virtual container, so I can migrate it over to Docker later. Yep. Good question, man. Good question. Good question. Let me see. Is this kicked in yet? Yep, all of that looks good. Just title, just content. It's still giving me an error there. So I'm gonna need to play with this for a minute. I probably should have did some of this in development first, but it's okay. We will dig in and figure it out. Build logs. Build the cache. Yep. Mm, because let me see something. I have to remember this thing is in this. So it's right into local DB and it's got post there. What? Maybe I can change that and take a different approach. Hmm. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, mm, mm. You know what? I think I may need to make some changes with the headers now that I think about that on a topic I just talked about today. Because other than that, this looks good, but we can come back and do that. That's not a problem. Um, all that looks good too. Cool. Okay. So let me see. Man, you know what? I have not played with it just yet, man. I think I may do a live tomorrow and play with it. I've seen quite a bit about it. I just haven't had the time to play with it, but I am off tomorrow, so I think what I'll do is play around with vibe code and get in the docs. And if anybody's interested, we can learn about it together. But I've never played with it. So how do you like it? Having some fun with it? Any bugs or any big ahas that you picked up from it? Mm, yep. Yeah. It's no big deal. I'm still doing everything local, and like I said, I think because I'm not in. Let me just see something. NPM run. I'll just spin it up locally here on my port 3000. We'll open a browser. Test title. So there it is. This is what I need to see. Await fs.write file. No such file or directory. Duh. I forgot to add the data folder. Let's do that now. I sat here and did that part, but forgot to add the data folder. Let's go data directory, and then now we'll move the host.json into it. Okay, now we have it set up. So now let's commit this to, I'll stop the development. Let's commit this to Git. I think it is Git add, Git commit, Git data directory, and we'll do a push. Okay, give it a second or two. I need to play with this. I should have been able to see that in my logs, but I'm sure I could have been a little more patient and looked at it. Like I said, typically I do the inverse of this. I'll create it in development and then deploy it. But today I just decided to get it on the web first, and then we'll make the changes and updates as needed. We'll test title, test content. Let's go back to development now. We'll go npm run dev. Yeah, man, I'm still old school, man. I love coding, man. But it's all good. I still want to try it. I've never tried it, so I think it'll be cool to a git commit of added data to. Let's do that, and then we'll do a origin main. Right. Oh my goodness. Seconds ago. Okay. Test title. Test content. Yeah, it's because of the headers. It's all good, no problem. So tomorrow, we'll try out vibe coding, and we'll also do we'll pick up with this. Hopefully my connection is better tomorrow, but I appreciate everyone that did drop in and show some love. It is genuinely appreciated. I will see you tomorrow.